Let's talk about the evolution of Brandon Aiyuk.
Yes, indeed. Everybody wants to know what's going on with Brandon. We got the new information this week directly from the source. Brandon up there clearing up that he'd been in direct conversations with Coach Shanahan after the bye week. And it seems that the other information coming out is that the tracking of Brandon's uniform running in practice seemed to indicate that he wasn't going hard, right? And that this conversation was sort of a, come together, establish what we need to do going forward. One of my questions is, why did it take so long?
Yeah.
Why did we have to wait until this point in the season to get to having a dialogue, having a conversation?
Yeah. You had to have a 4-game losing streak. You had to throw passes to Travis Benjamin and have all these meetings and press conferences. And you couldn't have just sat down with the guy after week 1 or before week 1 in the offseason and said, look, Brandon, this is the expectation. And we love you. We think you're really good. But we're going to hold you to a higher expectation this year. This is what Brandon Aiyuk said. I think it was on the radio. He said, there really isn't any difference between how I'm practicing this year than last year. The only difference is last year, there were so many injuries. I had to play. So they were putting me out there no matter how I was practicing. And now
Right.
this year, they're like saying like, well, actually, there's this whole different standard we're holding you to. And I think he was like, oh, okay, well, that wasn't enforced last year. And I think it's, understandable if you're 22 and your first exposure to an organization is, well, they're not serious about the standards that they talk about. Okay, well, when you try to enforce them year 2, I'm freaking surprised. I gotta say, I'm freaking surprised. Yeah. Oh,
And it
now it's an
highlights.
issue. It wasn't an issue last year when I was leading the team in receiving, but now it's an issue. Okay, if you say so, it feels personal. It feels arbitrary. Feels arbitrary.
It highlights for me this idea that if you're a manager, a coach, one of the first things you want to do in one-on-ones with your players, with your employees, is understand how they like to receive feedback. That's a critical component of being able to successfully give people feedback, is find out, Grant, do you prefer that I just give it to you straight? Do you want me to sugarcoat it? Do you want me to tell you how great you are before telling you that you have a couple of things you need to work on? Establish the way in which you need to communicate with that person.
Yes.
To
Tell me
communicate
8
effectively.
things that you like about me before you criticize me, please.
Right. So,
Please.
we're talking about a player. This is not a rookie. This is someone who has been with the organization for a full season at this point. It is concerning to me that there was never a time where apparently Coach Shanahan realized the way in which he needed to be having these conversations with Brandon Aiyuk. I applaud him for finally coming around, but it's of great concern to me that it took this long to understand how one of your key players on offense prefers to be coached.
I think what we're seeing is that Brandon Aiyuk is sensitive,
Yes,
which I'm not trying to say that like in a bad. I'm sensitive,
I
and
am
I know
too.
most football players aren't supposed to be sensitive, and I don't think Kyle Shanahan is sensitive. I think that's one of the issues here. But I think Brandon Aiyuk is sensitive, and I'm sensitive. Writers are sensitive, and I grew up in a writer's household. My dad's sensitive, and I used to. He was a professor, an adjunct professor at USF. He would do a graduate writers workshop, and he would bring me once a year when I was a kid, and I saw how he would handle sensitive writers with egos. No one wants to be told your work sucks. Oh, this thing that you wrote that you really wanted me to like, I hate it. It
Trash.
sucks. And that's the kind of feel like I think that Kyle can do. Oh, this thing that you did that you're proud of, it sucked. I didn't like it. What he would do, and he'd have a workshop. We're going to start off at what we liked about this piece. Everyone has to, for 10 minutes, we're going to talk about what we liked. And then people will actually hear the criticism after that.
Yeah.
You can hear the criticism after. Okay, you like. Okay, all right. Okay, it wasn't awful. There were redeeming qualities. So when someone says, this part didn't work, or really, I don't think you needed this, or I would have done this. Okay, well, you said this, that was good, and I'm listening, and I'm actually going to take the criticism and use it, and it'll be better for it. So anyway, that's one. When you're dealing with sensitive people, that's one way to handle it. I'm just trying to help.
It is. And the other thing that came out of this is a common narrative that people were implying that, well, you see, I mean, Shanahan's been working with Aiyuk all along. He was clearly never in the doghouse. And that is crazy to me. To me, I don't want to contradict some of the beat reporters that I respect, first and foremost, and still respect, no question, but I disagree with them on this one wholeheartedly in that I think it's very clear at this point with everything that's coming out. It underscores 100% he was in the doghouse, that it took this change from Shanahan in order to reverse the trend. And so I applaud him for that, but I also am not going to gloss over the fact that it took him a long time to get there. And if he doesn't learn from this experience, he may just repeat it again with the next player.
It was Mr. Aiyuk in the doghouse with the candlestick. That's what happened.
That's what happened.
That's
Them's
what
the
happened.
facts.
We're going to answer a couple questions. TM M Nago says, can you list the names of quarterbacks that Jimmy G is better than? Should be a short list. Colt McCoy, Jared
That's
Goff.
true.
There's a lot of quarterbacks that he's better than when healthy.
Where do you put, what range you put him in? The 15 to 20, the 20 to 25?
Right now, in quarterback rating this year, he's ranked 22nd.
That's about where you'd put him. That's fair.
Yeah. Maybe he'd be a little bit better if he had a coach who believed in him or something. I don't know. I mean, he's got some good players. He's got Debo. I mean, Debo's making him look good. I don't know. Can we trust Kyle to properly use Trey's abilities? No. No. Can you trust Kyle at all? No. Could Kyle
jury's
do it?
Still
yes.
Out for me.
Can you trust him to do it? No. He definitely has it in him, though. He has it in him. Dustin says if it's year 4 and you're telling your best quarterback this is simple shit, can you do it? He doesn't give you the best chance to win. Yeah, but you don't know what he's saying to Trey. You don't know what he's saying to Trey. Oh, God,
I'm sure it's roses and sunshine with Trey.
Yeah, it's all good. Trey, you're so good.